our all-star lineup. We have Lori Mifflin, Claire Smith, George Vesey, and Bill Roden, who will be joining us. I'm going to introduce them all one by one so that we can give them their due. First up, Lori Mifflin. Lori, thank you so much for joining us. Lori Mifflin had a 30-year career at the Times, working as a sports writer and deputy sports editor earlier in her career. She is now the executive editor of the Hechinger Report. And at the time, she also served as a national desk editor, a business reporter, executive director of television programming, and co-creator of the paper's first web video department. In her role with the Television Enterprise Department, she supervised the production of documentaries based on Times reporting and oversaw all content for the Discovery Times Channel digital cable network, a joint venture of the Times and Discovery Communications. Lori, thank you so much for joining us. Longtime viewers might recall that Lori joined us for a special show, a tribute to Robin Herman. She and Melissa Lutke joined us for that show, and Carla Baranakis hosted that discussion. So, Lori, thank you for coming back. Next up, I want to bring on George Vesey. George Vesey wrote the Sports of the Times column for the New York Times from 1982 through the end of 2011, if I have my dates right. I might need to fact check that. In 1968, George was hired by the Times, first covering sports, but in 70, he was recruited to become a national correspondent in Appalachia for the Times, based in Louisville. Upon returning to New York, he was a Metro reporter from 73 to 76, and then for the next 4 decades, he covered religion, including Pope John Paul II's first trips to Mexico and the United States, and the Dalai Lama's trip to the United States, returning to the sports desk in 1980. George was a guest on our show as well previously. And I do want to check myself, George. When were you the Sports of the Times columnist? What year?
1982.
Until?
End of 2011.
2011.
I think I did a few after that. They kept bringing me back for encores.
They kept bringing you back. So I had my dates right. I wanted to make sure of that. Next up, we have Claire Smith. Claire, so great to see you, my friend. And I'm still tickled that you're on our show. I had the chance to interview Claire 3 years ago, and it was an incredible honor. Claire was the first national baseball columnist at the New York Times, writing for them from 1990 to 1998. She is the founding executive editor of the Claire Smith Center for Sports Media at Temple's Lou Klein College of Media and Communication, the first woman inducted into the baseball's Hall of Fame's Writers Wing when she was elected the 2017 winner of the J.G. Taylor Spink Award by the Baseball Writers Association of America. She was the first female to cover a Major League Baseball beat full-time, covering the Yankees, my Yankees, for the Hartford Courant from 1985 to 1990. Claire, that picture of you at the induction ceremony is still seared in my memory. Such an honor to have you join us. Thank you so much, Claire.
It's my pleasure and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, batting cleanup, if you will, Bill Roden, William C. Roden. Bill joined the Times in 1982 as an editor in the Week in Review section. A year later, he joined the sports department, reporting on high school and college sports. He was the Sports of the Times columnist for 26 years, from 1990 to 2016. He then joined ESPN's Undefeated. And Bill, they've rebranded from the Undefeated. They're called,
It's Anscape. It's Anscape now.
Anscape. Yeah. Anscape now. Bill and George and Claire in particular. Lori has so many stories of her work as a pioneer, as a woman covering sports. But for me, growing up in Hastings-on-Hudson, New York, getting my little blue bag every day, George, William, and Bill and Claire, I read your bylines growing up, and it is just an incredible honor to have you join us. And so thank you for taking the time today. Sri, I'm going to bring you on and hand it over to you to manage this conversation with these all-time greats. We have uh, who do we have watching in addition to have joined us so far? Deborah Bernick is joining us from D.C. Mendel Horowitz is joining from Jerusalem, Israel. George is nodding your head. George Mendel is a friend of George's from New York
Mendel
City.
is a friend. His dad, Aaron, is in New York, a Mets fan. And I saw my friend Altanir before from Brazil, who taught me to love Tom Jobim even more.
That was your friend Altanir. That's wonderful.
Got my people.
Apollo is joining us from Philadelphia. Patricia says, congratulations to Lori on all your great achievements, calling that out. And we have a classmate of yours, Lori, Deborah Bernick, said Lori founded the women's field hockey team at Yale in our first class of women, 1969, and a Yale Daily News star. Debbie is a longtime friend of our show, longtime viewer. So she mentioned that she was your classmate, and we were thrilled to see that. Linda Lawrence is watching from Long Island. George, Janet Vesey O'Rourke, who's this?
Oh, it's my kid sister.
Your kid's sister is watching. It's a family affair. Mary C. Curtis is joining us. What a treat. A virtual reunion with so many future former colleagues tuning in from Charlotte, North Carolina. Mary is a former guest on our show and a friend and a frequent viewer.